It is not uncommon for people to state that their greatest fear is dementia. Empowering Seniors is tackling this topic head-on. Join us as we continue this journey together. Welcome to Empowering Seniors. I'm your host, Katherine Ambrose, and I am sitting with the world-renowned Dementia Care Education Specialist, Teepa Snow. Teepa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you here. You are, by trade, occupational therapist.
I am.
And so I understand occupational therapists are often the optimist of the world, dealing with what people have left, not what they've lost. Yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit, kind of the medical diagnosis and the medical jargon versus something that might translate easier to families.
Yeah.
First of all, how important is it to get a diagnosis, and how do you do that?
Okay, so it is important to know that what you're looking at and living with is something that can't be fixed, and it's something that isn't reversible, and it isn't something that truly, with some adjustments, we would go back to baseline. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the major reasons you do want to get something that looks like dementia checked out, because it may turn out, you know what, that isn't what it is, and you can fix some things, and the person does not have a progressive terminal illness that is going to actually result in everything needing to be changed. Mm-hmm. But if we are going to be dealing with something like that, well, then we want to know that's what we're dealing with. So this is the kind of changes and progression pattern we might be looking at. And the challenge with all that is dementia is a great big umbrella, and there are a lot of things that are under that umbrella. So would you want to know if, when I say, oh, see if that little boy needs something to drink, and as you could, over there, you could look, is there any little boy over there?
No.
Okay, so I'm having a visual disturbance or a hallucination. You would want to know, oh, well, she has Lewy body dementia, and that's a common symptom, and she doesn't need to go to the hospital. She doesn't need to be checked for a UTI. It's one of her patterns. Versus, do you see that little boy? When I don't usually have that, and I have Alzheimer's, you might want to check and see, what else have I noticed that's really gone up or gone down in changes recently? Because she might have something acute going on, something that could be dealt with, and her life goes back to a better place. Like upper respiratory, lower respiratory, all kinds of problems that can crop up that don't have as much to do with dementia as they do with getting older or having other health problems.
Sounds like a lot of discussion with physicians and professionals to help you navigate through all of that.
And knowing what kind of medications maybe could be tried and which ones you might not want to try if it's this type of dementia versus another type of dementia. And we are learning so much that it does matter. And finding someone who knows about different dementias really is important.
So are they really able to diagnose for sure what type of dementia? How do they do that?
Good question. So, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we just said, oh, it's a crapshoot. You don't really know for sure until someone passes. And there are still some people we don't know for sure until they pass, and you could do an autopsy and find out. But what we do know is that we can be somewhere between 90 to 95% accurate on form of dementia that somebody has, and how we could be supportive while they're living with good diagnostic workup. And that includes interviews and history taking and investigating opportunities and really figuring out what has led us to this place that we are. And so, you want somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So the idea being quality of life for the person dealing with it, but also all the family involved.
Right, because, about 25% of this we think is probably genetic. The rest is spontaneous or lifestyle choices over life and things like that. And so trying to figure out, okay, if I'm the daughter of someone, what can I do to lower my risk? Because I'm up next. So, even if it isn't genetic, if we've lived a similar life pattern, then my risk is higher. What do I want to do about it? Or do I want to ignore it and hope for the best?
So are there some things that you can do to help prevent going down that path?
So the word prevent means I can control everything. Risk reduction is what, we have found right now we're at. So I want to look at my own physical and mental health and see how I'm doing. I want to manage what level of stress I live with. I want to be physically and cognitively active. I want to have social support that really works well for me. And I want to balance my life and my day so that, I'm not over or underdoing what I put in my body, what I do with myself, so that there's a resilience that we build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking about isolation at home, too,
Yeah, which comes first? I start to have problems with my thinking and my interaction skills, and so I start to isolate, or I have problems with my thinking. Which way is it going? But we know social isolation is a high-risk behavior, one way or the other.
And some people might think, well, big deal. If I want to socially isolate, if I want to stay home, that's what I want to do. And they might not realize the impact that it can have on their health. What kind of impact can it have?
Well, one of the problems is when we socialize, we use a lot of centers of our brain. So for instance, what we're doing right now, having a conversation, I'm using my prefrontal for thought formation, intake, processing, initiation, sequence, terminating, seeing your point of view, presenting my own. I'm using my language center, my auditory processing center. I'm ignoring background noise, picking up on foreground noise. I'm paying attention to the conversation. I'm using my more primitive brain for memories, but also tone and intonation and what does it mean, picking up on social cues. And then I'm sitting upright against gravity and doing that. And I could do it at home, but what I'm doing with this, using my hands a little bit for just, gesturing. Yeah, we could do that in different ways. When I'm with people, I'm more likely to use what I've got. When I'm by myself, I'm not using a lot of intake.
So if you're staying in and isolated, you're just not working all the cylinders, not firing up.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being so busy you can't think and being social. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this nice balance between having some alone time, some thinking time, some going and doing your favorite thing that you do by yourself time, but also encouraging yourself to be part of a group and use those skills because it's a balancing act.
I think, too, just getting outside, getting some fresh air,
big
getting
deal.
some sunlight. I think sunlight's very important.
Yeah, being out in the world really does make a difference. Human beings, animals make a difference. Music makes a difference. Sounds of nature make a difference. Birdsong has been demonstrated to be important in well-being. Also, there's so many things that when we experience them, our brain lights up. And when our brain lights up, chemicals flow. And when chemicals flow, synapses happen. And when synapses happen, your brain is healthier until it gets overwhelmed, and then we got to go the other direction. So it's the balance.
What about exercise?
Oh, big deal. Yeah, more and more evidence, physical exercise is what causes the support system of your brain. The oxygen flow, the nourishment, the blood flow into your brain, the vitamins, all those things. You have to get blood flow to get that going. And by exercising, you raise, lower. So it's, again, that stretching back and forth. So it really does matter. Some estimates up to 50% of dementia risk could be reduced with a routine, moderate program that involves exercise and being social. I mean,
Wow.
here's the problem. Is it a magic pill? No magic pill. This is life choices and how you're going to spend your life. It's really important. And that's why I want to be careful, because I risk reduce, but I don't eliminate risk. Because if I do those things and I still get dementia, I probably bought myself 5 years of better quality existence by doing it. Didn't mean I avoided it completely, but I bought myself some time and my family, for that matter.
Well, that's a good point, too.
Yeah.
How do medical people just kind of scale how people are doing?
Yeah, so when I first started, there was only early, middle, late. And in the early state of dementia, and mostly at the time we were talking Alzheimer's, what would happen is people needed supervision on things like money and making sure that things that happened once a year got done and managing your health program kind of thing. And then we got to the middle of the disease when you were going to need supervision every day to make sure you got through your routines and you were changing your clothes and you were taking showers, but you could physically do it. But it's like, how do I fill your day up? And then in the late state, it was, I have to take care of you. So you're total care, and I'm going to be doing everything for you eventually. And that was how it was viewed.
Okay.
Okay. And so then Dr. Riceberg came along and started talking about, I'm just going to give you the word, global deterioration scale.
Okay.
Global deterioration. So are we looking at the donut or the whole?
Yeah. That's pretty scary.
I mean, it's like
I'm
you're globally
deteriorating.
deteriorating, and that's it. And so I thought, okay, well, yeah, you're losing abilities, but what are you keeping? Because the only thing I can help you with is what you got left, and I've got to support what's missing. So I went with a model that's called cognitive disabilities theory. So it looks at, it's a disability like anything else. The thing about dementia is it's ever changing, though. It never stabilizes. It's not like if I support you like this, you can stay like this. If I support you like this, it'll work for a while, and then I'm going to have to change because you will change. And so I thought, okay, well, what's a way that we could look at human beings and see value? And so I thought, well, if we saw them like gems, something's precious, unique, and they have characteristics when they're in that state of brain, but it's a brain state. It's not a level, and then when you drop, you never come back. Because that's not how it works. I mean, you can have a good morning and a crappy afternoon. You could be having a lot of trouble at 3 a.m, and yet during the day, you're pretty decent functionally. So we want to have the flexibility. And so that's where I came up with sapphires and diamonds and emeralds and ambers and rubies and then pearls.
Okay.
Because when I say those words to you, do awful things immediately come to mind?
No.
All right. So then I said, well, this morning when we had that argument, you were pretty rigid and inflexible kind of thing. If I said that to you and you'd go, yeah, I was, because I was frustrated. That was really diamond-like.
Okay.
So if you were to look and see what it says under diamond, what kind of things are on that card?
Clear, sharp, many facets. Lives by habit and routine. Likes familiar, dislikes change. Blames or dismisses errors. Can cut and shine.
Oh, yeah. So is that true about us? I mean, you don't have to have dementia to be in a diamond brain state. But when I usually am in a sapphire state and you start noticing a lot of diamond, you might go, this is different for her. So wonder what's going on here. And it gives me that opportunity to go, okay, how can I support you? We're going to use routines. We're going to use things that are familiar to you. When you say, you told me I couldn't go, I'm going to say, I am so sorry. I should not have done that. You're absolutely right. If you want to go, you should go. I apologize. I'm sorry that happened. I spend a lot of time apologizing when someone's in a diamond state.
Okay. What does that do for people when they're hearing the apologies?
Wow, I am so sorry. You were absolutely right. What did it do for you?
Of course I'm right.
Exactly. And so what happened to your brain chemistry?
It's just positive.
How are you feeling about me being with you?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So can I get away with stuff? I am so sorry that happened. You're absolutely right. I had no right to say that.
It diffuses it.
Can I change your brain?
And it probably helps, just end the argument.
Yeah, because there's no point in me continuing. I already know I lost. I'm like, oh, that's not working. So what do I do with that?
Try something else.
Yeah, and this is where you say, you never told me that. And instead of going, I did too. I told you that 5 times, which is what I may feel like doing. That would mean I was also what? Look at your card.
Also diamond.
I was also being diamond. So
Okay.
it's like, is that going to be helpful? No, 2 diamonds going at each other?
No.
No. So I would go, wow, I thought I had said something. I am so sorry. Now, what I'm actually getting to say is, I know I said something about it, but I'm not going to argue about it because it doesn't serve the purpose. But I can't say it like that, which means, fine, I didn't tell you. Now, does that feel different?
Yes. Yeah. So you're talking about kind of a higher level of thinking, a higher level of behavior, which makes your life easier and makes the person with dementia feel better. And it's about comfort and just making everybody's life easier all the way around.
Yeah, because when your brain feels better, guess what you're able to do?
Function.
So yeah, it improves it. So when we talk about, emerald or amber or ruby or pearl, the fact of the matter is, at night when I'm sleeping, I'm in a pearl state.
Okay.
I mean, you and I are both going to pearl state if we're healthy because we want to be not aware of the world around us. We're closed up in a shell. We're, coming back into our own. We're very out of the world, but we keep our functions going. But when I wake up, I'm back. The challenge with people at the end of dementia is they're in a pearl state and they can't come out.
Okay.
So that trapped in that shell is because it's not a choice to come and go. I get sort of trapped, but the shell opens every now and then and we see the beautiful gem, not like it was. It is totally different than how it used to be, but there's beauty.
So it sounds like learning the GEMS model can help maybe family members communicate with each other, can really aid communication, aid understanding. Now, is the sapphire like pretty normal?
Sapphire is when you're at your best. I
Okay.
mean, when you can be, there for everybody else, you can be really flexible. And I selected that sapphire because like skies and oceans, they support
Wonderful.
life,
Okay.
and so when you're in a good place, you can do it. Can you do it 24/7?
No.
No. And we've got to acknowledge to do this, I need support. I need breaks. I need to acknowledge my own needs, or this isn't going to work for anybody.
How long ago did you develop this?
Approximately now, I guess, almost 20 years ago, I started with it.
And you've been teaching it all over the world.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
amazing to have you here in Wichita
Yeah,
and
thanks.
Kansas to be
Yeah.
explaining this to us.
Well, and it's what's really cool about it is people find they can use it. Like on the back of the card, it gives you some options of how to support somebody in each of those gem states. So it's not just about dementia, but boy, does it make dementia easier to wrap your head around in a way that isn't traumatizing.
Yeah, and if you're a care partner for your loved one, you don't want to be traumatizing them. Your intention is good, and so you want to
so
have
me
the
reaching
tools.
over here and start to pull these out without thinking, your brain might go, what is she doing? But if you know I'm in an amber state, and now look at where would your eyes go right away?
Yeah, to the
To the
chart.
resource. And you went,
Exactly.
okay, what do I need to know about Amber?
There
She's
you
very
go.
sensory. So this is where you go, ooh, Tipa. And I would go, yeah. And you go, those are fun, aren't they? Ooh, and you want to use substitution, not subtraction, because classically you'd want me to stop, and instead you want to go, ooh, Tipa. So try it and see what happens.
Ooh, Tipa.
Yeah.
I don't
Now
know.
you don't know what to do, right?
Right, yeah.
So take your hand and go, hey, and offer it to me.
Okay. Hey, Tipa.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, sweetheart. Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank
now,
you.
Are you ready for me?
Very good.
But it's that learning that transition.
Okay.
Because otherwise, guess what I'm going to start doing?
Pulling it out, or
And then what does your voice do? What do you sound like?
like a diamond.
Good job. Listen to you. You got it down.
And then, so I noticed you've got vision in all of these scopes. So scuba
Yeah.
vision for diamond, what is that?
That's like, this is how much of the world I can take in.
Okay.
So what that means is I get tunnel vision, and I can't pay attention to options. I mean, I get so fixated, and it's like, you need to change your clothes. And it's like, or let's go do something else instead. But in that tunnel, I only see what's right there. And it means I miss things coming up from the side. If you touch me from the back, you scare me, because even though you said, hey, Tipa, what do you want for breakfast? When your hand, she's quit startling me. And it makes me angry then that you're sneaking up on me. And all that's happening is I can't keep the peripheral because I'm really focused in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. And then let's go ahead, try this one. Put that down. Put this around. And now you spilled something on your shirt. Look down.
I can't.
What can't you do?
It's pretty hard to see
It's
your
pretty
shirt
hard to
then.
see your shirt. So if I'm eating and I make a mistake, like when I'm bringing the spoon up, who would notice that I've got oatmeal on my shirt?
Someone else.
Oh, and guess what they might start trying to do?
Clean it.
Guess what I can't see coming?
Their hand.
Put your
or-
binoculars around your eyes.
Okay.
Can you see my hand coming?
No. No.
So when will you know that I'm there?
Probably not till you touch.
How surprising would
Very,
that be?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is that the more we learn about what they take in, the more we can change how we try to offer support and care. And then who else doesn't get surprised? me because you don't slap me or push away or spill the water, because all of a sudden I realize, oh, if I want you, look down, right there. Oh my heavens, son of a gun. Come on, let's go get another shirt.
Okay.
Now notice this. That's because I may need to give you more visual to support the changing verbal skills.
Let's talk about this, the 6 pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So what does this visual do?
Yeah, so for me, when we see, okay, so hold one hand up.
Okay.
This is the person living with dementia.
Okay.
And they are challenging us. So take your index finger and blame them. And what it feels like is dementia has the upper hand.
Okay.
So instead, show me 6 fingers.
Okay.
Try this.
Okay.
Okay, now take these fingers and bring them together and realize these are fingers of skill.
Okay.
This is median nerve distribution. Give you a little
Okay.
science thing. Now, button buttons,
Okay.
zip a zipper, put a nut on a bolt. Anything you do with skill, these are your skill fingers. So the person is losing skill, and I have skill. So we're going to figure out how to bring these together.
Okay.
And so the 6 pieces of the puzzle refer to, I am who I've always been, but I'm changing. Not by choice, but because of my brain. Ooh, and I have a body, and I have emotions, and I have a lot of things. And that's going to affect my health status because I'm more than just my dementia. I have a history too, by the way. And then I have my brain changes. And it might be due to my dementia, but I might also have depression or anxiety or a delirium going on. So those are the 3 pieces for them. And then we have all of us. And we've got to decide we're going to change because they're changing, or we can't stay with them. We can change the environment. We can make modifications to the environment to support them. But we got to look at the environment as more than a place. It's programming, it's people, it's props. It's what we do with the space that someone lives in to make it a rich, full experience. And then the last one is how are we going to spend our time? People used to occupy themselves 24/7, and now we're being asked to fill that space with stuff that gives them value and pleasure and rest and restoration and take care of themselves. And we're being asked to fit in here, so it's going to take some work. But so the 6 pieces of the puzzle is a way to help sort through. They are who they are. How's it working for them and us? And if we want to change something, maybe we need to look at what we have the power to change and quit
Trying to
blaming
change
them for their dementia because, I can't fix it. But I could look at, well, is this really working for them health-wise? Is this as good as we can make it? All right, well then what can we do with the environment? What can we do with our expectations? Could we simplify activities?
And so talk a little bit about the environment at home. So if you're at home, what are some things that you can do that will make dementia symptoms a little bit better?
Better. So we want to look at a combo of things. So the people, the place, the props, and the programming. So when we think of an environment, think about this space and what could we do? Well, so we think about lighting, looking at how the lighting works. We want to look at temperature and how that works. We want to look at the things people sit on and the things that people see and what they can do with things. We want a space that's got surfaces to walk on that are fairly object-free, except we want them to be able to put their hands on things for stability. We want to look at distances and abilities to find out, is that close enough? Is that too far? We want to look at different heights so that people could do some standing work and then some sitting work. When we talk about temperatures of water, temperatures of surfaces, like stoves and heating systems and cooling systems and patios and, those kinds of things. We also want to look at the idea of having private space and public space and bathroom space. Because small bathrooms and people living with dementia can be a real challenge when we're trying to be in that space for support and it's too crowded. Even the kind of doors we have and how doors are open or shut and where the view is of the bathroom from the bed. So, oh, that's where I go. Closets, how much is in them, shelves and high and low, and what's their ability and how safe are they? So safety, independence, access, hidden things that you don't want them getting into, securable areas, and whether or not people can get in there when you don't want them in there. And I'm talking about other people, because if I have to lock and unlock my door and now I'm forgetting to lock the door, then we have a safety issue. And people could come into that space and do things. It's really important to really realize what my person's abilities are and the range of their abilities as I'm looking at the housing situation. And sometimes that's really important.
How often can someone stay living in their home for the rest of their life as their dementia changes?
It depends on the stakeholders and the home and how much support time people can offer.
Okay.
And the answer is anymore, with families spread out all over and number of limited options, not very often. I mean, I'd love to say you can do it, and you can, but you usually have to do some modification if you're going to do it. You may have to arrange for a live-in person. You may have to arrange for more people to be available. You may need a smaller space than someone else. You may have to modify the bathroom, the access areas. I mean, it's a project. Very few homes are set up for this.
So what period of time could people be dealing with dementia?
That's a really good question. Do they know they're dealing with dementia, or they are coping with some of the symptoms and they didn't even know it? On average, typical first symptom appearance to end of life is somewhere on average 8 to 15 years.
Okay.
I mean, 8 to 15 years is pretty average.
Okay.
But it could be shorter, and it could be 30 years if it's vascular dementia. Which, no, it's like, oh yeah. And it could be as little as 2 months for some people, because something else happens.
Okay. Tifa, thank you so much. This has been very helpful. And thank you for watching. If you have questions about this topic or any of the topics that we cover on this program, reach out to us at empoweringseniors@kpts.org, or you can call 316-686-4500. I'm Katherine Ambrose. Until next time, this is Empowering Seniors.